So this program here called OneNote, a lot of times is saving directly to your M drive. So some people have, in the last session did on this, some people had a little bit of a struggle of how to get it to work while we were off campus. The other thing is, if you had never opened up OneNote before, we were having some people who were having some issues with it asking for an account. So you'll notice up at the top, mine says RLRAN, so it is recognizing that I'm logged in. It's not technically a work account, but I'm using my work email to access it, which is very confusing. So we'll walk through a couple of the steps and then we'll see if we can get people in, and I'm going to show a couple ways that I use this for annotating. So first things first, where do you access OneNote? Well, OneNote for me is always pinned down here, but for your first time, if you go to Office 2019 or 2016 folder, it depends on what Office you have, but it is your Microsoft Office folder on your desktop. Within here is our normal Microsoft Office products, you know, Word, Excel. Then there's OneNote. And you'll notice it says OneNote 2016. So Microsoft supports in a limited availability the OneNote 2016. So they are not actually making any updates to this one. Okay, so if you notice on my screen, I've got two different applications here. It says OneNote 2016 and it has the N on it. There's also this OneNote with the bright purple. So OneNote 2016 is a part of our image with Microsoft Office. This OneNote is something that I went and downloaded from the Microsoft Store, and you're welcome to do that too. This is more of their web application, and this is the one that they're updating. So you'll notice on the bottom, it's just a slightly different look to each of them. And the way things are laid out looks different as well. I really enjoy the look of OneNote 2016. So this is the one that I'm going to be working in today. But please know there is this OneNote that you are welcome to utilize as well. So when I open it, it's already loaded because I use this on a daily basis. So I have a lot of information already in here. If you're trying it for the first time, if you have the option, you want to make sure you choose, if it's asking you to sign in. Some people were able to just press the X a couple times and then it allowed them to get to a page where they could edit. Other people never got that option. When I originally set mine up, I think it was in the fall of last year, I had to choose a personal account, but then I used my school email because we do not have work accounts. The school district does not provide Microsoft Office accounts. The other issue that people were having, so I went into my file, is that files were being saved to their M drive. So when you create a new one, you can either point it and tell it to save to your desktop if you're not able to log in. Otherwise, you'll notice because I was able to log in, my notebooks are pointing to like Office 365's online cloud area, and so mine are saving there. If you have it saved on your M drive, you might get this little red X here that tells you it's not syncing because it can't get to that destination of that M drive, that folder, because it doesn't know how to get to it. If you get that little icon, it just briefly popped up before I could talk about it. There was a little green circle with two arrows, and that is going to be just showing you that it's syncing and everything is talking to each other. The nice thing with having it sync with the cloud is if I could get it logged into my phone, which when I was trying earlier this week, it wouldn't do it, being cranky with me, that I could do some stuff on my phone. I could have something on my laptop. If I had a computer, a separate computer at school, everything would talk nicely with each other. So that's kind of an overarching thing about OneNote and where it saves and everything. So maybe a little overkill, but good to know information. So a quick overview of how OneNote is laid out. So the way I like to describe this is this drop down are physical notebooks. So this is a notebook that I have front to back. All my pages are in it with all my rings within here. So I have this personal one. Within this personal notebook, think of it like this notebook is a 5-subject notebook. So we have those really massive notebooks that have the yellow dividers that separate you. So this is before one yellow divider. This is before another one. You know, this is between the next one. And then within each section, you can have pages. And so these are going to be your individual pages where you do your work on and you add information. You'll notice that this one here is actually a subpage. So you can technically, within here, because it's electronic, you can have a subpage underneath a page. So that's kind of the structure of how this is all laid out. If you're seeing this space, you might see this if you pin it. I don't like that because I lose out on all this workspace. So I don't like to leave mine pinned. I just want to choose a drop down so that I can switch between. So I use personal and I use WIMTA as my 2 primary ones that I work through. So I have pages within here that I can work on, and then I come back to personal, and this has all my other ones that I work through. Across the top, you'll notice I have different colors. That actually can be created by choosing a section color. So if you're like, hey, I really want this to be a specific color, you can choose that. You could also password protect it, so if you're really worried about someone else looking at your stuff, you know, my kid's now using my computer daily. So I could lock something down if I don't want him to see this. So now I'm in this test section. Oops. And I am going to add a page. So I just do a new page here, and I'm going to give it a title. You'll notice over here on the side it says untitled page. I have so many test pages, it's ridiculous. So whatever goes here is going to go here. What I love about OneNote is I can do text over on this side. And then anywhere within here, I can do writing. And I could add more pieces of information. I could then take my mouse and click right here and add text. I can't text and type apparently. Or talk and type. I don't even know what I'm saying. And so what I like about it is I can use my entire page and I can have different boxes wherever I want them to be on my document. So one way that I do it, I had some to-dos that I was working on. I wanted it all in one screenshot, so I didn't have to scroll. So I can have each of these is a different box that then I can work through, which now this is really old and all of that's pretty much done. So I can have all that information. If I do something in the wrong spot, I can select all of it and just delete it. You can also use this. Let's see here. This one here. So if I I can bring in pictures or PDFs as well, and I could then write over top of it. Oh, here, let's do this one. I forgot I practiced this one. So I brought in a PDF and I could do some more writing over top of it if I wanted to work through an answer key with my students. So to do that, and I'm going to go over a couple of those things. Across our top, we have our normal Microsoft Word editing tools. So home is going to be most of your text tools. You can change your headings, your sizes. along with just like your regular font size, so that as you're typing, it's bigger. These are pretty small. You also have some fun checkboxes and other little like icons that you can use. The insert one, this is where you could do a table if you needed boxes. This is where you could bring in that PDF. So it was insert file attachment. So I'm going to bring in my agenda again. And I want to attach, oh, nope, I lied. I'm sorry. I did that wrong. You want to insert the printout, because then it's going to pull in that whole printed page. And now I can, once again, work through my problems. I don't know why, but 3 times 4 is always my go-to math problem. So I can work through, same thing like I was saying before, if I'm doing, editing, I can cross things out, show students how, hey, this is how you would want to write this instead. If I wanted to show students, okay, when I'm writing the word anemia, make sure you use the little tilde over the top. So if I wanted to work through those different steps that way. It also does put in a link back to it, just so you are aware why that's there. This is one that I did wrong, so I'm going to get rid of that. You also have the option to bring in pictures. So if I have a picture from my computer, I don't know why it went to Windows C, but here's my picture. It's pretty tiny. I want this one. I can make it bigger. And then once again, I could write on it and show things. Now you'll notice right here, my writing did not stick with this though. So just be aware, sometimes if you drop things in on top, your writing doesn't always stick with what your picture or your PDF was. There is some math equations as well. So if you're working on some more of the complicated math items, they do have some pre-written series. If you're working on Pythagorean theory, it has all of that in there already for you. So that's really helpful. You can also do some recording of your audio and video right within here. Just be cautious. Some of it doesn't always work the best. If I want to look at my drawing tools, then I can choose different colors and different sizes, really make it big and thick. And there, if you notice, there was also the different shapes that I might want to use as well. All right, I'm going to do a new page for this. One thing that people find helpful is this ink to math. So once again, and I'm not the best at this. So if I wanted to put in the pi symbol times 3/3. Oh, I don't even know what that was. Interesting. If I wanted to do 3, see if I got it. Doesn't like my writing today, but you can do some of that. You can write out your equation and hopefully it'll catch it. Doesn't like mine today. I'm going to write a word with my pen, went through and did all of it. Now I have this option once again under draw for this ink to text. And it pulled it and it got exactly what I wrote there. Now, if I wanted that bigger, I could drop down that size to be a lot bigger. But then if I did some writing, it will pick up pretty well all your inking that you do with your pen and transform it into text. Then there's some other options that all of Microsoft products have. The last thing I want to show you is on this view page. There are 2 different tools on this one that I think are helpful. Depending on what you like to look at on your screen, they do have different colors. So you can change the complete background of your page to be a different color. Otherwise, they do have these ruled lines, which this could be very helpful if you wanted to do some writing on your screen. So if I have this, then it helps me if I'm talking about, if any of you are young elementary, talking about just doing some handwriting with the kids at home, that I start my H at the top of, oh, I'm sorry, let's change this. I start at the top of my line, I come all the way down. This is really hard with this pencil as I'm doing it. And I come up and I come back down. When I make my O, it starts about in the middle. I come all the way down and I touch that line. So just thinking of different ways that you could use that. You might have also noticed underneath the ruled lines, there is some grid paper. So if you wanted to talk about doing some charting, this is where my math, okay, what does that look like? Here's your bell curve. What, as you solve this problem, whatever it is, that should give you this bell curve if I'm plotting it out on a graph. I can tell you if we have any music teachers, there are no music staff lines, but you could always pull in a PDF with those music staff lines and then write over top of that. OneNote does automatically save. So all of this here, it all just automatically saves. If you wanted to add notebooks, there are new notebooks here. And I'm going to start this part so I can show this. This is where you can then choose to create, maybe in a different folder. That's where it's going to be important to point it to where you actually want it to save, whether it be on your desktop or on something local. And then the last thing, I forgot to show this part across the top here, these different sections, you can add a new section by just clicking the plus, and now you've got a brand new section. So that's the 15-minute OneNote overview. So this OneNote app, you'll notice, has a lot of those same pieces of information that was in my other one, because I had it synced up, so everything that was in there is now in here. And you'll notice this one is having a hard time. It's got the triangle because it's not able to sync because I pulled this one into a different location. So I could see teachers using WeVideo, start the recording like I'm doing now, pull up this OneNote, and then you would be able to annotate and work through different worksheets and problems to help your students learn a lesson. And holy moly,